Hello, Ron Briggs, Blackmore, Vale Honey, and welcome back to the channel. So in this episode, we're going to be looking at how we deal with the wasps. So let's get on with it. Yeah, so it's that time of year that we have to start thinking about the wasps. Although really we should have been thinking about them much earlier in the year. So the wasp, it's not the beekeeper's most favourite insect, is it? Because it can destroy colonies, it can rob colonies out really quickly and make the bees starve. So we need to do something about wasps. So what I'm going to cover in this video is my 5-point action plan of how you can deal with wasps in your area. So the wasp, as much as we don't like them, does have an important part to play in the grand scheme of things. Think of the wasp as the vulture of the insect world. So the wasp is it needs protein at the start of the season to feed its young. So it clears up all the dead insects. It doesn't take too many bees. It's not really a problem for the first part of the season. But then later on in the season, it becomes a problem. And as I understand it, when the wasp feeds the young its protein, the young release a sugary substance. And that kind of gets the wasps addicted, if you like, to sugar. Which is why now about this time of year is when you start to see them around your hives and your picnic, or if you're if you're at a pub and they're around your beer and things like that, aren't they, of an evening? But for the beekeeper, it's quite important because they can literally destroy, as I said, a colony really quickly. So the first thing I want to look at then, or the first point of the 5-point action plan, and hang around till the last one, because the last one is a sort of culmination of all the other 4 and is probably the most important. So the first one we're going to look at is trapping. Now, we're not looking at trapping for this time of year at the moment. We should have been doing some trapping earlier on in the season. So spring trapping, because spring trapping gets the queen wasps. Now, I know some of you out there are going to argue with me and say that the wasps play an important part and we shouldn't be trapping them, and we've got to think of the bycatch if we put traps out. But the way I see it is this: when I catch those wasps are destroying hundreds and thousands of insects, a lot more than what I'm getting as bycatch. And I'm getting not a lot of bycatch at all. Yeah, I might get the odd European hornet, which is a shame, but in the main it's just wasps I'm getting. So if I can get some queen wasps early on in the season, then that reduces the numbers. And it doesn't reduce them that much, because the moment I come the end of the season, the boys and girls tend to come around to my place and we make up enough sugar syrup for the winter. And the wasps that come out then, there's just thousands and thousands of them. So I don't think it upsets the apple cart that much by doing our spring trapping. And then we move on to trapping now at this time of year. So firstly, don't put traps out in your apiary until you actually see wasps. Because if you put traps out, you're going to attract the wasps, and you don't want to do that. So only when you see wasps, because some apiaries don't even suffer with wasps at all. I've got one apiary, and I've just seen a wasp that I very rarely see a wasp in. So I don't put traps out in there. But other apiaries, yeah, I'll get the traps out, but only once I've seen wasps in the apiary. So that's the first one. So the first one is traps, and you can buy traps, you can get them commercially, but they're really easy. You can get a bottle, cut the top off, turn it the top of the bottle upside down and invert it into the actual bottle itself, put some jam in it, and you've got yourself a wasp trap. Or if you've got an old jar of jam, just bash some holes in the top of it and it achieves exactly the same thing. So trapping, so that's the first part. Part 2 then, we're looking at entrances. So when the main summer flow's on, we don't really want any entrances in, because the bees are so busy coming backwards and forwards that if you reduce the entrances down, you create a bit of a bottleneck. And if they're bringing in pollen, they can quite easily get knock the pollen off. And also you just want them to bring in as much as they possibly can. But now the main flow's finished, we need to start thinking about reducing our entrances. So I'm in this apiary today to put clearer boards on because I'm extracting. So I've seen 1 or 2 wasps. The main flow's finished. We can now start reducing our entrances. So for this particular hive, we've got an entrance block to put in. So there you see on the panes, have got the large white entrant blocks in it. So that reduces it right down. And then on the bellows, you've got these, which I quite like these. You continue to have the air vent, and then you've got the central bit, which is slide across, which also acts as a mouse guard as well. But we've left it all the way open for the moment, or slid all the way across for the moment. So that's the entrances for those two. Okay, so you've seen those two entrances that I've put on there to reduce them. If you've got standard wooden floors, you know, the traditional wooden floors, you need to get those entrances reduced down. Now, there's numerous different things on the market which are that you can put in your entrances to confuse the wasps and to help your bees. And what that is, that some of them are like electrical conduit. I've seen some which are an upside down V. And basically what it does, it makes the bees work it out very quickly on how they can get in. If it's electrical conduit, they're going from the side, but the wasps can't work it out. And when the wasps eventually work it out, because the hole's so small, it's much, much easier for the bees to defend. So that's really good. So wasps are ultimately the ancestor of the bee and the wasp. They were the same. So wasps evolved into meat eaters, and bees evolved into vegetarian. So a lot of what they've got though is the same. So one of the things they've got in common is they leave a footprint odor. So bees, for example, if there's a water source or a good propolis source, they'll leave their footprint odor on it to tell all their sisters that that's a really good source. Well, wasps will do the same, but they'll leave their footprint odor on your hives to tell other wasps that this is the place to go. So ideally, we don't want our wasps getting anything and taking it away from the bees, because if they take it back, then they'll be telling their sisters, this is where I got this from. So these entrances that I was talking about reduce all that and makes it easier for your bees. But what I tend to use outside of my poly on all my wooden ones is underfloor entrances. Let me show you. So basically this is an underfloor entrance. So the bees fly in and then they hit the back and then they go up, and obviously they come in up underneath into the hive. So the bees work it out pretty much straight away, but the wasps don't. So the wasps will go in, they'll come out, they'll go in, they'll come out. They can't work it out. So these underfloor entrances are really, really good. And then something a mate of mine, I went to visit one of his apiaries, and what he'd started doing, which I thought was a genius idea, so I'm going to do it this year for the first time, is to put some foam in the entrance as well. So all this is, you know, what you get for insulating your pipes. So what I shall do is cut it down, and I shall leave just an entrance in the centre. So I'm reducing that entrance down even more. So we'll do that on all our underfloor entrances. Yeah, so there we are. So that's number 2, reduce all your entrances down. And on your nukes, you've got the disc on the front. You can reduce all your entrances down. And on your nukes, you want to reduce them all the way down to just one bee space for the bees to get in and out. So that's the 5-point action plan. That's number 2, entrances. Reduce them, confuse the wasps, and make life easier for your bees. Right, let's have a look at number 3. Yes, so point number 3, don't be afraid to move colonies. So like I've always said, if you can, it's always worth having a bolt hole, an out apiary, an isolation apiary, for a whole host of reasons. One, as an isolation apiary, so if you pick up a swarm or something like that, you've got somewhere to put them for a short while till you're happy that they're disease free. If you get a nasty colony and you can't keep them on your own land, you want somewhere to put those bees just for a short space of time. And it doesn't have to be like a full-on apiary. It could be a friend, it could be a family, it could be a local farmer, just somewhere you could put bees for a few weeks if you need to. And if your bees, especially nukes it seems to be, are being absolutely battered by wasps, move the colony. Move the colony away from the wasps. Because like I said, the footprint odour from the wasp is going to keep them coming back to the same place. So if you can move the nuke away, that kind of fixes that problem for a while. So yeah, so somewhere to move your colonies away if they are being battered by the wasps. So that's point number 3, move the colonies. So that brings me on then to point 4. Now, point 4, I'll call it feeding, but it does cover leaving food in the apiary that the wasp can find, and they'll find it quick. If you're unsure, get a bit of comb with a bit of honey in it, away from your hives obviously, put it out and see how fast either the bees or the wasps find it. They'll find it really, really quickly. Their sense of smell is phenomenal. So what it means is you have to be really careful when it comes to feeding, because if you spill any, then that's just going to attract the wasps. Once the wasps are in the area, same as the traps I mentioned earlier, they're going to be looking for places to feed, and they're just going to be hanging around and causing your bees difficulty. When it comes to feeding, if you're got the big tubs that are really heavy to lift and you can't help but spilling it, split it, put it into 2 lots. Also, go down at night time, or rather dusk, when all the bees are in bed. That's when you want to go down and feed. Now, at the moment, I've got no feeding to do, but it won't be long. We're into autumn, our autumn feeds. There'll still be wasps around then. We might have swarms between now and then. We might need to do some feeding. So that's the time to do it. Do it in the evening when all the wasps are not around and the bees are back in. Do it then. Likewise, when it comes to your inspections, don't have the colonies open too long, because that'll attract the wasps in. And if you're spending a long time in there, they'll get in there and they'll start to find a food source. Don't throw things on the floor. You shouldn't anyway. Basic hygiene says you shouldn't do it, but don't throw brace comb and the likes on the floor, because that will attract the wasp. Put it into a wax bucket. That's what I mean by feeding and robbing. It's not just the wasps. Other bees will come and rob, and if you've got a weak colony, they'll be in there and they'll rob it out. So point 4, feeding. Be careful about dropping any food into the apiary. Okay, and finally then we come to point 5. And this is probably the most important point for dealing with wasps. And point 5 is you need to have big, strong colonies. Big, strong colonies can deal with the wasps easily. So all the other things we've discussed, the trapping, the entrances, the moving of colonies, and the feeding, if you've got big, strong colonies, they can even deal with all of that. So all you're doing there with all those other things is just giving your bees a bit of a hand, really, just making it a little bit easier for them. Because if they're big, strong colonies, they will deal with it. So this time of year, we want to be taking big, strong colonies into the winter anyway. So it also helps if we start thinking about that now, and getting our colonies big and strong in order to deal with the wasps. So there we are then. That is the 5-point action plan for dealing with wasps. Now, I know that some of you might not suffer with wasps. Some apiaries, I don't suffer with wasps. Or some of you might have just used underfloor entrances, and that always deals with the wasps, or deal with certain types of entrances, and that always deals with the wasps for you in your area. So this is quite general. It's what I do, and it's across the board on all my apiaries. And by doing that, I rarely suffer with losses when it comes to wasps. So there we are then. That's the 5-point action plan, dealing with wasps. Hope you got something from that. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks then. Goodbye.